So Psalm 143. So this is a Psalm of David, and when reading this psalm, I remember back to my church this morning, the sermon, and also a few passages back. I was wondering if God or David knew about imputed righteousness, similar to how we understand it, that we are covered by Christ's sin. And this morning, I guess the answer to that question came to me through the sermon, definitely by God, saying that it's not like the thing is that they didn't have a concept of Jesus back then, but the concept of imputed righteousness did exist, because in Genesis, God said to Abraham that his faith is counted, or I'm paraphrasing, but basically his faith, and his trust in the law, and through that his faith in God mostly, what was what counted, is makes him count as a righteous person. So I think David understood that part, and that's why he sometimes or a lot of time refers to it as his righteousness, as if he was righteous. But I think that is just through the lens of knowing that he is righteous before God because of his faith. And right here, he did say that for no person living is righteous in your sight. So he knows that. But sometimes he does talk about his righteousness is more like imputed righteousness. So then his enemy has persecuted his soul and crushed his life to the ground. That is David. And his spirit feels weak, his heart is appalled. He remember the days of old when he meditate on God's accomplishment and reflect on the work of God's hand. And his soul longs for God like a weary land. So he asking God to answer him quickly, and don't hide his face from David, or else he'll be like the dead. And let David wants to hear God's faithfulness in the morning. He asserts his trust in God and asks God to teach him in the way that he should walk, because God, for he lift up his soul to God, and he asked God to save him from his enemy, and ask God to teach him to do God's will. And so he's asking, for the sake of God's name, revive him, and to also, because of God's faithfulness, to destroy his enemy, because he knows that he is God's servant. And he asked God to eliminate those who attack his soul. So it's really interesting that he kept on saying that they attack his soul. I'm not sure what that meant. Maybe like putting him in a depressed mode or something like that. But I'm not sure how someone can attack one's soul, like, without bringing them down, like, emotionally and spiritually. But sounds like really, really bad. I mean, David, his life is so much drama in his life. It's really, I would not want a life like his. But yeah, so that's what he talked about, and those are my thoughts.